Hello, Voices from the Bench community. I'm Don Bell, Vice President of Product Marketing with Ivoclar. If you are in the market for a new milling machine or one of our furnaces, I invite you to connect with one of our sales associates and explore the great deals and financing options now available. Our robust and dependable machines were designed to make your laboratory more efficient and profitable and are optimized for our IPS, e.max, and Prime Zirconia materials. Our PM7 also allows you to do digital dentures with our game-changing Ivotion puck. So give us a call or log into ivoclar.com. Wishing you much success as we close out 2024.
And always, Ivoclar, we appreciate your support. Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Greetings and welcome to episode 339 of Voices from the Bench. My name's Elvis.
And my name's Barbara.
Welcome back, Barbara.
Thank you.
How the hell are you?
Yeah, one day at a time. I
Yeah.
hate to be like, all jolly like I usually am, which is definitely not how I feel, but
Sure.
I'm back. It's time to go back to work and just helping my sons through a tragedy. But
Sure.
yeah, and I have COVID, so.
Oh, well, can we hit you with another stick? Wow.
I know. Thanks a lot, but yeah, as soon as my nose, now I sound like you did a couple weeks ago, so my nose
Yeah.
is the snuffy, stuffy nose.
It's funny. We're starting to release episodes, and I'm all nasally, and I'm like,
I
oh,
know.
gosh.
Yeah. So you've got to update me on the race. So let's.
Yeah. So sadly, and for obvious reasons, you had to miss the Race for the Future 10. What a great race. Because, usually we have it in Chicago, and it's like a huge deal and a hot mess. But they moved it to Fort Worth, Texas. It was a smaller race. I really enjoyed the intimacy of it.
I know, and there were so many great pictures. I was just like amazed. ExoCat, I saw they each had a team uniform, and Bennett and Gary Yako and Denise, and unbelievable. It looked like you guys had a great time and
Yeah.
raised $100,000. Like what?
Isn't that nuts? It's the most they've ever raised.
Right on. But talk about you guys.
I would love to say that the abutments raised it all, but we only raised, a little over 5,000. We got to thank the vendors in our industry that really stepped up, and all the other individual sponsors that, $100,000 for a race in Fort Worth, Texas is just nuts to me, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I mentioned that the race was smaller. It was cool because they had like an MC, and she kept talking about the foundation for dental laboratory technology, and she referred to our team as the abutments.
Oh, that's awesome. Kind of are the abutments. Abutments.
It's so small that we came in second place.
Yeah, what was up with the hill you keep whining about?
Oh, the hill. So everybody knows I'm in Indiana, where it's as flat as it gets. So anytime I run on a small, slightly larger than small hill, my body doesn't know what to do.
Okay.
And the whole race started going down and ended coming up. And it was this big, windy kind of sidewalk up a hill thing. It was just
It didn't make you happy.
a struggle.
Huh?
No.
Good.
I wanted to come in, real fast, strong, and with a big smile. But I think I came up slow, grumpy.
Well, you worked hard for that run. That's good. I love it. I saw some pictures of you coming in, and it was just really great. And what was up with Bobby? No swim?
Yeah, he had kind of a chest cold and was
Aw.
worried about getting in a lake.
Bummer.
Yeah, 2 years in a row, our swimmer got out of swimming, so I think that's our new trend.
Hey, that was my trend if I could have pulled it. Let me tell you.
Luckily, our industry has two wonderful swimmers in it, Sean Nowak, of course, and Marlon Gone from Oregon. They each strapped 2, 3, 4
Aw,
of the little tags on them and just jumped in the lake. And
that's so great.
it all counted for a team.
Yep.
What a great time. We want to just thank everyone that donated to our teams, even those that donated to Barb, even though she didn't make it.
Yeah.
The money is still used for great things,
Yes.
So seriously, go check out dentallabfoundation.org. All this money goes to grants and scholarships. Go get some. I mean, if you donated, go get some of your money back.
Yes.
You know how it works? Yeah, yeah, seriously. It's such great stuff. You can expand your education. You can visit new places like Visions 21 or NADLU. And hell, get or renew your CDT.
Bingo. Come on, guys. Check it out. $100,000. It's all going to us. Like, come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Motivate yourself. Do it.
And our t-shirts that we sold,
Oh, yeah.
we raised almost $400 off the shirts.
I bought like 7 like at the very last day. I'm so excited to give them away to all my coworkers. And yeah, that was just great.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're able to donate that money.
All right.
So, it's been a while since we've got to introduce anyone into the Golden Bench Club, and I thought we would take this time to remind people. So, Barb, can you tell people how to get into this elite club?
All you got to do is give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast app and write us a review. Then take a screenshot of it and email it to us at info@voicesfromthebench.com. And we will read your review on the podcast and introduce you and congratulate you to the Golden Bench Club. And the benefits of being in the club is the biggest highlight. You not only get a shout out on the podcast, but you get bragging rights. You can strut around your lab, know that you are far superior to others, and just a better technician. And actual Golden Bench will not be delivered to you, unfortunately, unless we call Argon. Maybe they'll make one for us. But you're still special.
Do you think they would cast or mill?
I don't think they'll do but they've been amazing, so hey.
Actual Golden Bench will not be delivered to your lab.
Okay.
So this week, Barb and I, we had an amazing conversation with a denturist out of Alberta, Canada. Jade Connors was going to be a graphic artist. Now, after realizing she didn't want to work for companies making ads, a single speaker that came to her school convinced her to follow another path. Remembering a kind dentist from her youth, she looked into the dental industry. Now, Jade openly admits she doesn't take kindly to authority.
Not at all.
So dental assisting and hygiene, it was just off the table.
Right on.
So it was off to dental technology school where she learned all aspects in a lab. And it was a teacher that noticed Jade was more of an extrovert and good with people and recommended going into denturism. Now Jade owns Pearl Denture Implant Centre and has the practice she's always wanted. Jade talks a lot about coming to terms with who she is, getting acceptance from her very science-based parents, and getting more education than a dentist to help guide first-time surgical denture wearers through a journey to a new smile. So join us as we chat with Jade Connors. Voices from the Bench. The interview. So, it's been a while, Barb, but we finally have a denturist back on the podcast.
I know.
Jade Connors, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Elvis?
I'm doing great.
Barb, how are you?
I am super. It's Friday.
Hooray.
We love Denturist, so it's going to be a great time.
I'm so glad. I'm glad that we are beloved, even down in the States.
You know it.
Yeah, the few states that do it.
Yep.
Even those that don't, like Indiana, we still love you.
Because you guys are all the way down in Florida, right?
I'm in Florida, and he's in Indiana.
Okay, and no dentures anywhere to be found.
Not in Florida, no.
Oh, damn.
Or Indiana.
Yep.
I know the state next to me, Illinois, is working on it, but that's as close as it gets.
Well, that's too bad. Well, I'm here to help try and inspire maybe some more dentures to pop up over the grid. So
we're going to make this happen.
All right.
No pressure, Jade, but I think I met you last Chicago briefly.
You did. We ran by each other. I ran up to you and you're like, I haven't gone to the bathroom in about 12 hours. I'll be right back. And I was like, oh, damn, I've been on my feet for about 12 hours, so farewell, Elvis. We did not actually get to catch each other, so.
Yeah, but we did connect on Instagram.
We did.
And that's what brought us to today.
Yes.
So Jade, welcome to the podcast. Let's talk about your history. How did you even fall into dental?
Oh my goodness. I have a funny little trajectory and a funny little story of how I ended up working on teeth. So originally I was a photography kid. I did a lot of art, a lot of design in high school. Again, mostly hiding in a dark room. And then I decided my two parents, who are both a medical physicist and an astrophysicist,
oh my gosh,
cornered me and were like, "You are not allowed to take a gap year." And I'm like, "Oh, damn. Okay." So off to art school I went, which was to the despair of my parents.
Did they take well to you wanting to get into art?
No. They like to say that they did.
Now,
because on paper, I think it's important for parents to be supportive of their children.
Yeah.
But the microaggressions in between clearly said that these two poor scientists were quite distraught that both of their kids had become artists.
I can see that, right?
Right? Yeah, no. But I mean, it's a funny thing because art and science are very much married together.
Yes, they are.
And so we'll get to that part though.
Yeah.
So off I went into design school, and I realized within the first couple of months being there that I would probably end up supporting corporate capitalism and marketing, maybe for like McDonald's or, Arby's or something like that would genuinely hurt my soul.
But wait, you went to design school. I mean,
yes.
Marketing design? I mean, that's kind of like a broad term, design. What were you designing?
What was I designing? So how it's structured is you have a foundational year. So you learn how to do like Illustrator design, poster design, 3D design. So like for making spaces more desirable, beautiful, kind of architectural as well.
It was quite the broad design
and digital
courses,
design too. Absolutely. I mean, I really thrived in it. I loved it a lot. But then it's very funny. My university brought in this one speaker that literally changed the course of my life, which is as an 18-year-old, hearing someone crush your dreams within an hour and a half was really
It wasn't a good change.
No, what the hell are you talking about?
It was actually the best thing that happened to me, to be honest, because this man did not hold back. He basically said that I was going to overwork. Everyone was going to hate my work, that we would have literally no creative freedom, and that all of our hopes and dreams would die.
Wow.
Did he tell you this? Did he tell you specifically, or was this the class?
No. He told our class. So he killed our collective dreams, which was great.
Oh, well, yeah.
I gotta ask a question. Why would they bring somebody in to speak to you guys on that? Or did they have no idea that he was going to be so negative?
He was just honest. And I find honest people interesting and refreshing. Even if it hurts, I think that it's really important. And what he said, maybe it hurt like the dreams that I had, but it landed in a reality that we all shared.
Nice.
So as an 18-year-old, I got that smack in the face, and literally the next day I was like, what am I going to do?
Become a physicist.
Wait, so you decided right then and there that you were done and you weren't going to pursue that?
Yeah, for me, it was like, well, that sounds awful. And I had already been hearing kind of some of that through other designers that was the reality of it, right? Is that like leading a creative career is very, very challenging. And I have so many artist friends that walk that path. And I am genuinely like so inspired by those people who can make it work and who are extremely talented at their crafts and skills. But the thing that I could also be very honest with myself in is that I was good at what I did, but it took me work to be good at what I was doing. So it wasn't like some people are just naturally talented and it just flows out of them. And for me, as I said, I felt like I was good. I was a decent designer, but I had to put in that extra effort and work to be at that level. So it hit me in the face, and I had an existential crisis the next day. And then I started just sitting back and being like, okay, what are all the things that I ever loved when I was like a kid? What am I going to be doing here? And as a kid, I always used to say that I was going to be a dentist. There's actually like pictures and videos of me like being like a 3-year-old giving my parents like fake dental exams. It's actually really cute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that idea from?
Well, I had one of the most kind dentists growing up.
Yeah, that will do it.
That really did it,
Sure.
He was like very supportive of my extracurricular activities. Like my mom helped do treasury like when I was a synchronized swimmer. So I did synchronized swimming forever.
Wow, I love synchronized swimming. I just have to shout that out.
Oh my God. Synchronized swimming is so intense, and we can talk about that afterwards. But I love it as well. But it's there's also things in there that I'm like, it could be so much more juicy. Anyway. It could anyway. So I landed on being in dental, and at that time, sorry, I'm being very long-winded, but
no, you're fine. I love this.
At that time though, I also was just about to get my braces off. I had braces very late.
Mm-hmm.
I got them when I was entering my first year of university there, and they were just about to come off. And when my braces came off, it literally changed my entire paradigm on how I walked through the world and how much confidence I had and my ability to actually like communicate with people and want to be seen. So
Aww, I love that.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like I had to have like a ton of work done with my smile. I think that like my laterals were just recessed just a little bit, so I had more of like a tapering arch. Just getting nerdy in there with you.
Yeah.
And so when my smile just got like a little bit more broad, again, just a year of braces, it really changed the foundation of how I walk through the world. So I have these two intersecting time frames here that met up perfectly. And I found dental technology, so being like an RDT, literally a week before the deadline closed.
Wow.
To apply.
Great timing.
Yeah. So we have a post-secondary institution here called Nait. And in Canada, it's basically been our longest standing school for dental technology and for denturism, and is one of the pioneers of what denturism is today. The first Denturist Association, from my understanding, was brought together in 1967 in Alberta. So anyway, that's just some background there.
Yeah. Did you try to go to dental school?
Oh, hell no.
So tell us about that. So it changed your perception on how you felt when you got your braces off. And so at that moment, did you say, I want to make teeth, or did you do a little research, or like, how did you land in school?
So I went down a little checklist, and I was like, okay, what are all the dental professions? So the first one was like dental assisting and dental hygiene. And by this time, I'm a very introspective person. I like to think that I'm very thoughtful. And even as like an 18-year-old, I feel like I had done a lot of that kind of mindfulness work at a young age. And so
I love that word too.
I was very honest with myself in knowing that I don't always play super well with authority figures. And
like dentist, maybe?
Yeah, and having people tell me what to do, without any kind of necessity for like respect or mutual understanding, in which I sadly still kind of see those dynamics at play now. And that's something I'm very passionate about speaking about in the future and lecturing about, because I see such a great opportunity for that to evolve and for that to change. And especially like, growing up in team environments, like I just know it can be so much better. So I knew that right off the bat that I would not play well being a dental assistant or being a hygienist. And then I thought about being a dentist, and I quickly realized that, people have very strong aversions to dentists. And
yeah, that's true. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
it's true. And the thing that I thought about is I'm like, I would be the demolition crew. and I'm not that person. My strongest skills in this life are creating and artistically bringing new ideas and solutions to the surface.
Yep.
And yeah, just trying to make things feel better, look better, and ultimately just, be better. So
how old were you when you knew all this about yourself?
I know, I was just thinking.
I know. 18. Yeah, I was 18.
Wow.
So
I mean, psychologically, that's a pretty brilliant that you know yourself that well.
Yeah.
I commend you on.
Well, and I am like a big advocate of like therapy. I think in this day and age, like I'm a millennial, like I'm 33 years old, and we're seeing like a lot of that kind of surfacing all around us, especially after the pandemic, is that there's huge attention to the need for like mental health. And our generation really got hit very hard with the mental health topic, because I don't know if any of you have heard of the book, The Anxious Generation. Have you guys heard of it?
I have not. No.
Oh my goodness. I highly, highly recommend listening or reading that. But it basically, in point form, says that young millennials and Gen Z are extremely anxious and have a lot of mental health, how would I say, walls? Barriers?
Yeah, I think I see where you're going with this.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm the generation before that, Gen X, and while the issues were there, just nobody talked about it.
Exactly. And so I feel like essentially what that book is kind of angling at is that you have late Reaganism from the 80s trickling into a very fearful based childhood of the 90s. You have very overprotective parents who aren't letting you have like a play-based childhood. So it forced our generation to go online for like all of our social needs and for our ability to kind of have any semblance of freedom, right?
Yeah.
And then crossing that with like the internet and social media. Like it's really when social media came into effect and how that created widespread comparison, widespread base of cultural knowledge, like kind of reinforcing all of the ideals of how basically we're not enough. That's kind of the bottom line.
Oh God, yeah.
So I am a product of that generation, and so that's why I knew so much about myself at the age of 18, is because as like a very young adult, as a teenager, like I was confronted with so many of those things, right? And so I feel like dentistry was just such a natural pick for me, like going into the dental field, because once I had an ability to actually like feel confident in myself and feel like I wanted to be seen in the world, it really, as I said, it really changed my life. So that's something that I like am very passionate about trying to offer other people. And my initial ideas of when I applied for dental technology, that desire that my art could actually help people, could help heal people and make them feel like their best self was such a deep appeal for me. And I applied within the last week, not really knowing, not really thinking that I would maybe necessarily get into the program, because I was told that it was very competitive to get into, like the dental programs at Nait. I know it's a bit different in Canada than it is in the States.
Oh yeah, they can't fill the schools here.
Yeah, but I did get in, and I was just really overjoyed, like when I got into the RDT program.
What did your parents say?
My parents were so happy. They were so overjoyed that their child was going to be in the dental field.
That's cool.
So other than 3-year-old Jade playing dentist, did you do anything with teeth before walking into the program, or?
Nope.
You just knew you had a desire to do it, but you never, even in art, drew teeth or anything?
Nope.
Wow.
So all I knew, again, I just knew base things about myself where I was just like, okay, I know that I can't push around paper.
Or
Yeah.
work for somebody of authority.
Like I can't stare at paper and I can't push it around. And even my staff that work with me can very much attest to this. Do not give Jade any kinds of paper that you are hoping to see again.
That's great.
Absolutely. And I knew that I needed something that was dynamic and also in a caring field, and very creative, because otherwise I get bored very easily. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, those are the core things that I knew that I wanted. And when I, again, was just kind of reading all of the write-ups on Nait, the reason why I chose dental technology, not reading very closely, is that it said that it did all 4 disciplines of prosthetic making, which I thought was super cool at the time. So not knowing very much, I just threw my name out to Nait and they accepted me. And I had like skimmed over the Denturist program. I'm like, oh, you just only get to do 1. That doesn't sound fun. Like, so yeah, I just went into dental technology. And yeah, it's honestly, it's a really wonderful course that they have there. They have a really good school at Nait. And I'm really, really lucky and really happy with the way that I have done all of my schooling. I did the marathon because, as you know, I took both of the programs there.
Well,
What do you mean the marathon?
does that take you 2 at once?
No, like I did my RDT, so the dental technology program there. So that was 2 full years of classes and lab work and like all the training that went into that.
2 years of full days.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a lot of school.
We did a lot
Yeah,
of
it is.
school. Yeah. And all of our schooling is based off of like, I think like the European curriculum. And so I feel really lucky because even when I took some courses from Cangeler earlier/later this year, and pretty much like everything that some of the things that are coming out of like Switzerland and Germany very much were the same as what I had learned. Terminology
Really?
a bit different, but I had always wondered about that. Like some of the terminology was just a little bit different, but that's to be expected. And I had always like thought about doing additional training in Europe, and I really hope that I get to in the upcoming year. I have some very exciting kind of partnerships that I'm trying to work on right now, and
Yeah.
but yeah, I always was very curious, like if the European curriculum was vastly different from what I learned. And I think I got my answer earlier this year is that no, it's not. So yeah, that was that's exciting for me.
This university, they taught you fixed, removable, ortho, I mean everything, right?
Yes, we learned all of the disciplines. And that was really nice because because we went to, it's a polytechnic, so it's basically like a technical school. So it's different than a university structure. I have my opinions about the university structure in North America because I will throw out an opinion. I think that it's moved further away from the education and the focus on that, and more so started to lean towards becoming more of a business model.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I think
no argument there.
I think a lot more in the States, but still very widely here in Canada as well.
Yeah.
And to have an ability to just focus directly on what you were going to be doing and applying that into the real world, I loved that. That was perfect for a person like me.
So you didn't have to take 3 math classes and 4 literature classes like you do in like a university, even though it has nothing to do with what you're doing. See, that's the way to do it.
So it was all dental all day for 2 years.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll keep going here is that
yeah.
I feel like the story's taking so long. Your first question, we're 20 minutes in, but
I love it.
I do too. We like talkers.
I mean, you got me here, so I love to talk to you. So
awesome.
In any case, so where was I?
I want to find out why you decided removable was your life.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, that's coming. I know it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's where I was going. So I get into Nait and I'm like, okay, I have no idea what I signed myself up for. And we start kind of learning Crown and Bridge right away. And our second kind of focus, because we did have multiple classes going at the same time, but the secondary class that we had was then Dentures. And I'm not gonna lie. How do I do this without being shady? I mean, I loved my denture teachers. They were, again, with like being so young and just being at a big transition point in my life. They were these two brilliant women who, you know, had obviously sought out extra education to learn how to be better teachers, and who were very passionate about what they did and really were very professional in the program.
I'm waiting for the shady part.
What's that? No, no shade. I loved them. They were so inspiring to me. And just seeing them do their thing and work with us, I just wanted to do my best for them, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's a great teacher for you.
Yeah. And I think that's like another thing that I've kind of carried through into like how I want to practice and who I want to be in this profession going forward, is like when you have incredible teachers that inspire you and that want to genuinely like uplift you and uplift like your way of thinking and just kind of build off of that, that is like one of the most fulfilling things that can happen to you as an individual, right? Because I think that there's so much reinforcement out in our world that like you're not enough. Your brand and your flavor are not what people want. And there's no room for kind of like individuality. And I feel like the way that they taught their class, it made me feel like the way that I was doing things could keep developing. And as an artist, that is always your dream, right?
Yeah.
Artists who copy other artists, you don't know them. Because it's not actually like you're not vulnerable in what you were building. You know, you're not putting yourself into what you are creating. And so I think that this is kind of like the different idea as a prosthetic maker, at least for me, of like every prosthetic that I make is like a piece of myself, that
a little piece of you. Yeah.
That I share with somebody else. And yeah, it just has a lot of intention and a lot of love in it. And when you have teachers that support that, that's the direction you want to go. So I really excelled in that class. And at the end of it, after my first year, my teachers were like, so you're really extroverted and you're really social, so you should maybe be a denturist.
Oh, wow. Really? They were the ones, huh?
Yep. I had a teacher tell me, they were like, you know, you would probably be a lot happier like being a denturist. You should like go visit a clinic and see what you think. And the first, I like basically called, I think, almost every denture clinic in this city, because I am a super nerd as well and a go-getter, if you can't tell. And I had someone pick up the phone, and he welcomed me to come and shadow in his clinic. And he was also an RDT DD. And he basically told me, he's like, you do seem very extroverted. I don't think that you would do well in a lab. This is how I did things. So he was a tech for 7 years, I think, in his dad's clinic. And then he became a denturist. And he said it was like the single best decision that he ever made.
His dad was a denturist.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So you got hooked up with a family and second generation. That's cool. You know how I love that, Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of, again, I was like a little shadow though, right? Like I didn't necessarily like get a job with them or anything, but I did gain a lot of wisdom from them. Like I like to try and really listen to people and believe their experiences. And I could just really tell from him that he was being very sincere and wanted to, I think, prevent me from being miserable sitting in a production lab, like not being able to talk to anything but my teeth. So yeah, I decided that I would immediately go back and just continue my schooling and become a denturist.
So is there an actual path to be a denturist at that school?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So instead of just continuing on learning everything, you went directly that direction.
So they're two separate programs. There's the RDT program, and then there's the Denturist program. So in Canada, you can directly go into school to be a denturist. And from everything else that I've read everywhere else in the world, I think except for the US as well, is that you have to become an RDT. You have to have some level of experience or training, and then you can continue on to become a denturist. Now, yeah, I did not realize like any of that, right? I was just like, well, I really love people. and I really love making things. So this sounds right for me. So I just continued my schooling.
Awesome.
But you finished the first program, right? You finished
Yep.
the RDT and then went into the Denturist. Was that another 2 years?
3.
3?
3, wow.
3 and some. Yeah.
So talk about that.
So wait a minute, you end up with over almost 6 years worth of education?
Yeah.
Isn't that what a regular dentist does?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
Wow.
always find that really interesting, how other people will perceive you and treat you based on the base level of knowledge that you have, instead of actually like listening and talking to somebody, right?
Yeah.
I have some people who, this even happened not that long ago, where I had someone that was talking over me and not really treating me with a lot of respect. And, I think that's really interesting based on like how much of my life, I've dedicated to all of this, and how much I've kind of spread myself out to learn adjacent fields as well, to bring into what my practice is.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I have spent a considerable amount of the past like 13, 14 years of my life to craft like what I do now. And it's been a really, really long journey. And not only like those formal 6 years of post-secondary, but a lot of my personal time is also used to just learn more. Like, I'm just a very curious person, and thank you, Mom and Dad, for that brain. It also never shuts off and has some anxiety in there too, but I'm really thankful to, just naturally be a curious person that loves to learn.
So you go through Denturist school. I imagine it was probably pretty easy for you?
Yes.
Yeah. That's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know how I was saying earlier, I was good at being a designer, but it took me work to be a designer.
Yeah.
Again, I like to think that I'm fairly honest with myself and with others. And being a denturist is probably one of my most natural skills I've ever had in my life.
Amazing.
Some people, I feel like, just are naturally good at things. There are a lot of things in life that I wish that I had this skill at, like trying to learn French, which, I've tried like 3 times, and I'm trying a 4th time now to actually buckle down and learn French.
That came out of nowhere. Why?
But
do you want to go to France?
Why?
Isn't French in your area?
No, I'm just saying because
I guess Canada.
Learning French is hard for me, but learning how to make dentures is, I think, what I was supposed to be doing. Like, is one of the things that I feel like I just picked up and I ran with, and have not really had to struggle greatly with. That's not to say that I haven't made mistakes.
Put in the time. Yeah.
Right? And definitely have put in the time and effort and work, but some things just make sense when you pick them up. And so that's what denture making and prosthetic making has been for me.
So you go through school. Do they teach you, I know they teach you how to make dentures, but do they physically tell you how to become a denturist and like evolve? Because that's kind of like owning your own business also.
Oh my gosh, yes. We have business classes as well, because denturism, to my knowledge, came from Alberta specifically. That's like the province that I'm from. Mm-hmm. Provinces are the same as states, essentially.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the classmates that I had, they already have family that own clinics. So it's like you're looking at 2nd or 3rd generation denturists.
They're going to graduate and walk into a job.
Absolutely. Because I feel like it can be an incredibly lucrative career, very stable, very gratifying, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's very interesting though to compare like some of my classmates who are like, their parents were encouraging them / told them that they had to take over the family business.
Oh yeah.
Versus someone like myself in my corner where it's like, no, I want this. Like, I picked this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have found that to also be an article in how I've kind of built my business and everything, is that, there's some people that are just kind of passing the torch down to their kids, and it's kind of day in, day out mentality. But yeah, for me, it's something that I found and chose.
And obviously with your
how do I say this nicely? Not wanting to be under authority. It was always your goal to own your own practice?
Not exactly.
Oh.
Like, yes and no. Like, I think that developed when later in the Dentures program, where it's just like, well, the natural transition is that you go into practice, you get a little bit of experience, and then people open their own businesses fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Or you buy into your uncle's practice or something like that.
Sure.
So I just knew that the next thing that I was going to do is I wanted to learn a lot more about implant systems because I found that to be really, really interesting. And then I was going to kind of go from there. But again, I don't tolerate abuse from people very well. And things that I have seen and heard in the industry and experienced is that that can actually happen very commonly. And I knew for myself that I would not last or thrive in a space like that, in a non-team supportive environment. So yeah, it just became natural that I was like, okay, well, I got to work for myself eventually. So,
well, you say eventually. So take us through. So you graduated from school, and then what was your first parlay into dentures? Did you work for somebody for a short time?
Very funny. So I worked very temporarily at my first denture job, and I blew them out of the water, I think, pretty quickly because I didn't realize like how much of an advantage having both an art background and an RDT background would have in being a denturist.
Oh yeah.
Because that's just my lived path, right? Spent my whole life working with my hands already and having like really high attention to detail, and also like having self-awareness and mindfulness and being able to like listen to people. So all of those skills kind of put in one pile, and then you bring that to a job where you're not learning those things over years on a job.
Right.
I have to say, like, I feel like I did very well in those first couple of months. And at that first job, I actually had met my then business partner and very quickly succeeded onward to work at basically an only implant practice. So
oh wow,
that was all within 4 months of me starting to work.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You don't waste any time, do you?
No wasted time. Even before I started as a denturist or denturist school, I worked in a CAD/CAM department back in 2013. So it was like one of the first CAD/CAM departments in Canada. It was the largest one in Western North America. And so I was really passionate about learning, like, what is the cutting edge, like what's going on. So back in 2013, I was designing zirconia crowns and doing e.max press.
Wow, really?
That's so you did spend some time in a dental lab.
I did. That was my first and only job, really. And then, I wanted to just dip my toe into being like, okay, what's the future going to be? So I worked for hardly nothing and got that experience and learned very quickly I did not do well with a production manager.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah.
We already knew that. Yep, we already knew that. But because I was an RDT, they loved throwing me around into different departments as well because it was a very big dental lab.
So you've partnered up, you're working on implants. I mean, you're doing everything you do is implant-borne prosthetic.
Yeah, I've always been really interested in implant systems because I could also just see that people were so much happier with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They're so much happier with them. At that first job, it really opened my eyes because this practitioner that I worked with, they were one of the first implant dentists in our city. And had made an entire career out of it. So they're now a little bit older, more mature. So I was extremely lucky in 2015 to be able to basically work on all of these all-on-X cases that had already been out for 7 to 10 years.
Oh, like doing the retread.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like all of these all-on-X cases that have been done in 2005, right? In that ballpark, which I will tell everyone who is listening, it was a very different time back then.
Yeah.
We've had guests refer to it as the Wild West of All on X.
Yeah.
Oh, it's, I have to say it's still the Wild West up here. Not every dentist who says that they can place implants knows what they are doing.
No.
That is the biggest lesson that I have learned over the past 8 years of me owning a business, is that people will tell you that they know what they're doing, and then people have no idea what they are doing. If you are asking your denturist how to place an implant and where to when you're in the surgery and asking if things look right, again, you can have an eye in there, but there's certain questions that should have been asked
way before.
4 weeks before.
Yeah. It's the same here. It's with the lab tech, not the denturist. I mean, they ask us all the time, and you're like, "What? You never done this before?" I mean,
and you can work with that, right?
Yeah.
I'm working with someone right now who has just been very honest, where it's you want to promote learning and growth.
Sure.
But you cannot work with people who will lie to you about their experience.
Yeah.
And who also can't be honest with themselves, right? I think that's the biggest thing. And that's why, you've heard me talking throughout this podcast as well, where it's you have to be the example for other people that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay for you to not know a lot of information. And you can still be a competent, intelligent person that has made mistakes and that don't know how to do everything perfectly all at once, right?
Yeah.
I love working with a dentist that will honestly say, I've never done this before, but I want to learn. And I'm like, game on, let's do this.
That is someone you can actually work with. That to me shows actual true sense of intelligence. That is actual intelligence to me.
Yeah.
Everything else is that's really cute that you can regurgitate knowledge, but are you able to look at yourself in the mirror and be honest?
Yeah.
Right? Are you able to receive feedback and have a mature conversation about these things? So wrapping back around,
yeah, please.
I was working with someone who is like that, where I basically got to go to this person because all of their cases were coming back. They were all made in acrylic, and they were all coming back. And essentially at the time, because again, dentists are still learning as well, is that he basically never told any of these patients that they would need to be retread.
Oh, that's horrible.
So I got to learn a lot through having to talk to people and redirect kind of expectations. And
so these people were put basically in acrylic temporaries and never with the support of a metal, or?
No, they had the frameworks in them.
Okay. But they thought they were going to last their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give this person grace because they were learning,
sure.
and they have shown that they had an interest in wanting to continue growing. So, but that's why it's so important to have practitioners that you work with that are actually able to receive that kind of information, where it's hey, so now we have this entire generation of your patients that are coming back that are all going to need to have this work done, and you basically said they're never going to have to pay anything else. So how are we going to deliver that we need to charge them another very high fee like this every 5 to 7 years?
Yeah.
How do we work with that? So I got to work on basically all on X cases for that year and a half that I was there, and surgical cases, which I thrived in. I loved that workflow for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's essentially what my practice is now, Pearl Denture Implant Centre, and kind of where my heart still lies, is that I really believe in the future of dental implants and how they collaborate with dentures. I think that it's kind of what's it called? You know how we have Invisalign now?
Yeah.
But it used to be headgear before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the headgear, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my goals by the end of my career that basically the new baseline for complete lower denture therapy is that there are always going to be 2 implants placed in the wall.
It should be the standard of care. Yeah.
It should be the standard of care. And I hope by the end of my career that is where it's at. So that's another goal that I have kind of in my career, is that I want to help promote that, because nobody should have to wear like a complete lower denture if they don't have to.
Sure.
You know?
For sure.
So,
but you're not able to place implants, right?
No, I don't want that work. I don't want to do that. That does not sound fun.
So you open up your own practice, you put implants in the name. Do you hire somebody to place implants for you?
No. In Alberta, the naming, it's interesting because there's so much regulation, right? So denturists are allowed to use the word implant in the naming of our clinic.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
And when I opened, that was already May 2017 that I opened with a business partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were like one of the first that had implant in our name, because there's so few people that actually knew how to do it. Right?
In 2017.
I feel like still there is a huge gap in education on people actually being able to learn how to do implant supported cases, and then the second get the experience.
So you refer the patients out for implants then?
Yes.
And how closely do you work with those surgeons, and how often do you have to babysit them?
So I think that the dynamics are a bit different here in Canada. Keynote, thankfully.
Yeah.
And so I have had more luck than not working with surgeons who are there to listen.
Yeah.
And I think, again, this is another reason why it's really important for me to share a bit of my story, is that it does not have to be the way that it is in the States that you guys have it right now. They're saying that full mouth restorations, that surgery should be prosthetically driven.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
If it's prosthetically driven, that's up to us to ask for what we need in the surgery, right?
Yep.
So it's another hope of mine, is that educating and empowering other denturists to be able to help lead that process. That is ultimately what's going to create the best results for the patients. Because if you have a dentist that knows nothing about prosthetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're planning a surgery and they're also not listening to you, well, it's not very cute for anybody when at the end of the day you are forced to build a prosthetic that is either out of functional limit, or you can see the implant parts coming through,
Sure.
or you have a screw coming out of the inside. None of that works. But if you're just offsetting blame onto the person who's building the prosthetic, that still doesn't win you the respect of that case. That person's not going to come back to you again.
Yeah.
So that's something that I hear quite a lot, which I'm very sad to hear, but I think is something that can be worked on for the very small number of people who are actually desiring to do really great dentistry. Having more denturists, empowering more technicians to also seek legislation so that we have denturists. Who else to become the best denturists out there than the technicians who have already been doing this work?
100%.
Right? So I feel very passionate in trying to help raise that voice to not only the technicians that are in the States, but that are around the world, because there are so many movements of people trying to push this through legislation, all around the world. France is working on it right now. I know Belgium, there's someone that's working on it. We've got Mandy that's in Illinois.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
There have been websites that have been made in Kentucky. There are people that are all over the world that are trying to push denturism forward. And all I have to say is that technicians, I am one small example of that, right? Where we can have a better quality of life. The patients get to have a better product at the end. Dentists still get to thrive because they're learning how to place implants. And for a lot of them,
they can't do dentures. Just say it.
They can't. That's not.
It's really rough, honestly. I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but
and they usually complain about how much money they don't make on them. So.
Yeah, and they don't understand it.
No, they don't understand it. And once they have an ability to confront their own ego, because no one else can do that for them except themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You have to come to an understanding with yourself, an agreement with yourself that that is okay. And the empathy that I do have for those people who are pushed so hard through dental school and through like oral surgery, like to become oral surgeons, right? Is that they could not be anything less than perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
In order to become those people. So it's very hard for them to work backwards to learn those skills at the end of their kind of pathway to get to where they are. And so I hope that we can kind of try and find a transition for those people, though, where it's like, it is okay that you did not learn enough and that you are not exemplary at building a denture. That is something that somebody else can do.
Yeah.
You can learn these other skills that can fit you better.
That's a great point on what you made earlier in this hour, is that universities are not teaching it.
No,
they're all about making money, not the education. So these dentists are graduating and they've set teeth on one denture that never went in a mouth.
Absolutely. And I think that that is really unfortunate, like especially in the US. You guys are running the complicated era right now of capitalized healthcare.
Yeah.
Solely capitalized healthcare. And for us in Canada, like we are in a semi-privatized field. Right? Mm-hmm. So what that means is that we have, I mean, it is just a different structure. Like we have ability to kind of like create our own treatment plans and how much we charge for certain things. But we also have kind of like baseline care that's all dictated by like our associations. We also have government funded programs for different kinds of people. So it's mixed, right? We have a bit of both. And I think that that is a healthy thing and something that I hope that you guys get to like venture out of at some point, because I can see that it's really, really hurting the dental field in the US. Not only patients, but also everyone who's working in it, right?
Yeah.
It's just creating a lot of struggle.
Well said.
So talk about your practice now. I mean, are you the only one practicing?
Happily, not anymore.
Yeah.
I have a new denturist that I am working with. She is incredible. I'm so excited to kind of see how the next, I guess, chapter of my business goes. I have to be incredibly honest with you, is that as a young business owner, and there's so many of us, I think, where just like any relationship, you start out with like a business partner and it doesn't work.
Sure. Yeah.
And you part ways. The timing of that relationship ending and then the pandemic hitting was almost synonymous. It was right before the pandemic started.
Yep.
And so carrying my practice through the pandemic was an enormous feat, I will just say.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I've finally been able to kind of like pull myself out and have been starting to like recover, which is really, really exciting. And another thing about that is I never showed anyone any of my work before. So it's been really, really amazing and really encouraging that in this past year, I decided that I would start actually photographing my work and
good for you.
And sharing it. And that has brought me all kinds of joy, essentially, where I've got to, like, I now have like dental friends. I mean, I got to meet you guys. I have had so much support from, people that I don't know online and from reps. And now I'm getting company sponsorship and support. I'm actually going to be speaking at the National Dentures Association.
Oh, nice. In October. Yeah.
In October, which I'm very excited, and Vita has sponsored me for that.
Fantastic.
So and I'm hoping that there are going to be more opportunities. I'm also competing in the Candular denture competition.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but
congrats.
Yeah, and even if I win or not, I mean, I don't really care. It's just exciting to be able to
exciting,
kind of share my art in different ways. So
good for you. That's fantastic.
So it's been a great year.
Way to bring everything full circle, though. I'm really happy for you. Sounds like you're really psyched about everything you're doing too.
Yeah, I think like the pandemic was hard for each person in different ways. And for me, it was like an incredibly dark 4 years. And this past year, it's like I feel so much happier and so much brighter. And yeah, just like really excited and jazzed to like just meet other dental nerds.
There's a lot of us out there.
There's a lot of us, yes.
Yeah.
I know, it's great.
Well, it sounds like this last year, not only did you bounce back, as you say, but you're growing. I mean, you're bringing in other people. Yes. You're getting out there. Yes. You're speaking. I love all of this for you, Jade. This is some great stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really wasn't sure. Like, I think it made a lot of us look at what we were doing day to day. And something that I can say, like, very concretely through the misery of the pandemic is that I really, really love what I do. I'm like one of those very, very lucky people that get to go to work and just am really psyched about being there.
Yeah.
And about helping people and about building things. Of course, there are always the odd days where it's like people are trying to get me to do paperwork and I'm like, well, what is this? Or I have a patient that is making me grow in my new gray hairs. But aside from that, like, I think that we have a really, like, as a denturist, I really believe that we have like a really sacred and really special job because people share things with us that they don't even share with like their partners, their families.
Yeah.
No one knows. Like, we get shared secrets of terrible things that have happened to them that they just don't get to talk to anyone about. And when you are given an opportunity to actually help people reframe and have a new chapter of their life in such a deep and impactful way, like, that's just such a special gift, that an angle that we get to kind of fill and walk that journey with them. So
agree. Love it.
Jade, this hour went quick.
Yeah.
I know. That was my last plug, though, was kind of leading into that, is that kind of that angle of talking about people's shame. That's kind of what my circuit of lectures is going to be on this upcoming year. There's going to be some tech stuff that I'm going to be talking about as well. I'm kind of known for like layering my acrylics and doing really detailed work. So I'm hoping to share more of that. I'm going to have a new YouTube channel that's going to be coming out.
Awesome.
So just keep looking for my page for that when it pops up. So yeah, those are kind of my new things. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the hour and the time to kind of talk about all my love for dentistry and for denture making. So
Jade, I don't think this is going to be the last time we talk, because
No.
I think we have a lot more to cover, and I want to learn so much more from you. So thank you for coming on this podcast. Thank you for being so open and honest. I know you say that's how you are, but it means a lot when people come on and talk as open as you did. And thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I think everyone should learn how to do it more. Life would be a lot more interesting, and we'd probably see a lot more heart out in the world if we were able to just show ours a bit more.
100%.
Well said.
Well, Jade, we will hopefully see you in Chicago. I will try to catch you when I'm not running to the bathroom.
Yep.
And I will try and catch you when I haven't been standing in the worst shoes possible for 12 hours as well. So,
well, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
A huge thanks to Jade for coming on our podcast and telling us such an amazing story of your journey. Elvis, when you shared with me her Instagram page, I knew that it was going to be a great conversation. And Jade, you definitely didn't disappoint. I'm in awe of how you are able to read yourself. And that's kind of cool when you're able to like check in and know what the hell you're thinking and help yourself. And you're so young. I'm glad that you get to make the decisions that you made to get you where you are now. A really, really great story of hard work and dedication. We highly recommend everybody going to see Jade on stage at the National Denturist Association Conference. It's in Las Vegas, October 2nd to 4th. Maybe we can go, Elvis.
Ooh, I would like to.
Head over to nationaldenturist.com for more information. I've been seeing it all over Facebook this week also.
Mm-hmm.
And Jade, we can't wait to see where and what you will do next. Good luck.
All right, everybody. That's all we got for you, and we will talk to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
I hear the dog. So cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell to the yeah.
The views and opinions expressed on the Voices from the Bench podcast are those of the guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the host or Voices from the Bench, LLC.